And don't be a Richard, and forget to shop Merch with the Perp on ygoproject.com. That's ygoproject.com/merch with -a-perp. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Trauma Translator Live. I'm your host, Lauren Freeman, also known as Not Another Healing Asshole. And today I'm really excited to have a solo show. My original guest wasn't able to make it because she actually is really smart and was able to discern between being overwhelmed in her life. And I really respect when people are able to do that. So I'm really excited to chat today. You may notice that some of my branding has changed. The name of my company has changed many times. If you go to my website, that also has changed. It's a work in progress, as everything else is, progress and work. But the reason that I rebranded everything, and the whole reason that I've been doing this, is because I lost my job 6 times with my whole team. And the last time I lost my job was almost 3 years ago, and I haven't been able to rebound financially since that time period. I have pivoted many times. I've tried to find more clarity. I've tried to do B2C stuff, B2B stuff, but now I finally figured out why I wasn't able to get what I needed to get in this time period. And it's because I didn't have a level of clarity. I didn't have a level of safety in my body. So over the last few months, I actually was having a conversation with Adam R. Connors, who was a guest last week on last week's episode. He's amazing. And he and I were having a conversation months and months and months ago about something totally unrelated to my business. And we were talking about something else. And he's like, what does that mean? And I was like, I have no idea. We were talking about another group. And I was like, nobody understands what I'm doing either. And that conversation stuck in my head. We just moved beyond that. But that conversation stuck in my head for months. And I was like, nobody understands Why Go Project. I don't have an elevator pitch that's simple. What can I do to bring this all together? And that's been the real problem that I've had. I saw there's a woman that's an investor. I'm literally blanking on her name, but she's amazing. She actually was talking about clarity yesterday. Most entrepreneurs don't have clarity in their business because they don't feel safe enough to have clarity. It's really hard to get to a level of clarity and what that differentiator is. And my background for the last 20 years is in emerging advertising and technology. I've been on the front lines at some of the biggest companies in the world. And the one thing that's different from what I'm doing now and then is that there's no buffers. It's me against the world. I can't go to a manager. I don't have a big name like Oracle, the New York Times, or PayPal, or eBay, or WPP behind me. It's just me. And when you don't have the level of support that you expect, it's really hard to get traction in market, right? And we don't have a level of clarity and that support, it's even harder. So over the last few months, I've been considering, how am I going to get to a place where I can make this elevator pitch quick, right? What do I do? What services do I provide without, giving my entire life story of why I'm doing this? And the one thing that's always come to me throughout all of this is what am I trying to do? Because I'm not another healing asshole. I also have the unme.com or unmeirl.com in real life. We have a bleep button. One day I'll have a producer that'll bleep for me in real time. But the thing is that, the reason I went to market with all of this was not only because I lost my job, but because I really truly believe in the power of healing and the power of nervous system literacy. It changed my whole life, and it really me in real life. And that's why I called it this, because the thing is that I was in therapy since I was 5. Both my parents were therapists, and nothing has ever been able to help me get out of the situations that I've been in. I felt like I've been repeating the same cycles of dysfunction my entire existence. And I didn't really even understand what that meant until really over the past few years. But even in June of 23, when I lost my job with my entire team for the 6th time, I was literally in the beginning stages of coming out of lifelong survival mode. And I should not have gone to market trying to start a business. I should not have tried to get a new job. What I should have done was taken that break, actually got in a line of credit instead of living off of my savings, which I had a lot of it, and at the time, and it would have taken me very far, except there was a whole other thing going on in my life that I wasn't ever able to properly me in real life from it, because I was always waiting to stabilize my career. And I was always waiting for it to just get into a better place in terms of a career. So I'm not losing my job, right? And then losing my health insurance, just happened. I don't have health insurance right now. So I woke up at 6 a.m. today with migraine, and I've been really good. I've actually reversed chronic illness. I'm a biohacker. I've done this in real time, in real life. That's what I'm trying to share. But one of the things is the state of New Jersey canceled my health insurance effective April 30th. And they don't care that there's a lapse in health insurance, and I have to go back between two different agencies because technically I qualified for Medicaid, which is absurd because I used to be making over $500,000 a year. That was my OTE, right? Like this is like what we were supposed to do. And you can never actually make that, but that's an absurd thing that I can't get a job. Like the only jobs I've been offered have been either zero base, zero benefits, just commission. And that's not something you can live on when these cycles could take 12 to 18 months, if they even go through, right? Like it's impossible. And I've tried to get serving jobs. People laugh me out of there. I've tried to get retail jobs. People laugh me out of there. They're like, ha, you haven't done this. You haven't done this for 20 years. So the one thing that's been consistent, whether it's a small company or a big company, is that there's dysfunction in the organization, especially in those revenue generating teams. And that's kind of what precipitates the spinoffs, the rifts, all of these things. And everybody's dealing with this because, I saw his name is Josh Taraja. I can't say his name, but he's a writer for The Atlantic. He was on, he wrote a book called AI for Good, and it showcases all the good use cases for AI and how we have the ability as a society right now to affect change. We don't have to just get steamrolled and get displaced out of jobs and have our whole society crumble because a few billionaires decide that this is what they want to do. And he was on the Daily Show the other night, and he was talking about how, we're not going to change, the business world. We're not going to change the world, right? But we can start by changing the laws within AI and those things. And I was like, yeah, we need guardrails. We need to use AI for good. But the thing is that we're not going to change the way capitalism works. Was his main, it's been around for 400 years. Our country's only been around for 250. So when you think about capitalism, it's been around way longer. Like I was at an event a few weeks ago and someone was like, yeah, well, companies don't care. And I was like, yeah, that's true. But we could equip those companies to equip those teams to have nervous system regulation and nervous system literacy so that when they do lose their jobs, which apparently that's all people do these days is lose their jobs, right? Is that they then become equipped for it because nervous system literacy can actually impact revenue in sales teams. It impacts decision-making, impacts communication. It impacts the ability to even do your job, like with skill, with any level of discernment, with any level of success. But also nervous system literacy, it's kind of a tongue twister, is it actually saves lives. And, I've mentioned this before. My dad did take his own life. And the situation that I'm in is one that, if I had parents, I used to think I didn't need any parents. I used to think I could just raise myself. I've been raising myself since I was a toddler. I've been taking care of myself my whole life and everyone around me. And I got myself into a position where I don't know where to go. No one's supporting me. No one can help me. My ex-husband of 20 years can't even get a loan more than $12,000. And there's no laws. The companies don't have any protections. I don't have any protections as an employee. I don't have any protections in my marriage. I don't understand how there's no laws around, family business structures or anything around spoken word, or even around if your wife loses her job 6 times, there's no requirements for your spouse to even look for a new job. This man has not even interviewed in 20 years. So more than that, because I was with him for 20 years this year. So like the thing is that I'm in a really bad position, and my dad did take his own life, and nobody would have done what has gone on in my personal life if I had parents, if I had someone that was watching out for me. People take advantage of really vulnerable situations. And most people in this situation would have already taken their life. Like I'm not suicidal. I never have been, but I think with a level of logic and realistic knowledge of what happens when the attempts don't work, right? I don't even have good health insurance right now. So I'm not going to do that. But the only reason I haven't is because of nervous system literacy, is knowing how to get my body back into safety. If you don't have safety, you have no success in life. And the teams that I've been a part of, there's no safety. Everybody's afraid of losing their jobs. This isn't a new thing. This isn't just since the pandemic for my industry. I've been losing my job. I'm an OG of layoffs. I've been losing my job with my whole team since September of 2011 when I got home from my honeymoon, and my ex-husband's family wouldn't give me health insurance because they said they couldn't afford it, but they live like assholes. And it's not an acceptable situation in this society where I'm in a position and other people like me, there's tons of solopreneurs that are struggling in the same way. That's why everyone thinks that they should start a podcast or be a speaker. They think that they add value. And the thing is that maybe they do, maybe they don't. But my perspective is such that nervous system literacy is truly a panacea for society. It's how we actually, irrespective of what the big corporate enterprise wants to do with your team will succeed. Your team will have the best option to succeed. Now, I can't control whether or not the higher powers at those organizations, turn away deals or make it really hard, cancel products, make it really hard to sell anything. You can't get contracts through, right? But if you have nervous system literacy, then you're not operating from a place of being desperate. You're not operating from a place of fear. You're operating from a place of power, from a place of sitting in your power, knowing how strong you are, knowing with a level of discernment and clarity and alignment, this is what I can do to push this forward. These are the conversations I need to have, because I've seen it in corporate America and I've seen it in Main Street, small business, right? Nobody can have the conversations needed in order to affect change. So we all need to, as a society, if we're not going to give about layoffs, and if AI, like Sam Altman was like, we'll be good, which is like literally, it's what's going on at a federal level. The president of the United States says he doesn't care about the Americans. He doesn't even think about Americans' finances. He doesn't think about inflation. He doesn't care about that. And that's what's happening also when tech overlords are controlling the AI revolution. And people have a lot of fear around this, and this lives in our bodies, and it affects every single decision we make unconsciously, and we don't even know it. Like, I used to chase deals in my companies that were totally not right, but I was so desperate to get money because they made it so hard to sell, and I knew I would eventually lose my job that I just would have taken anything. And that is pervasive. That's exactly, those breadcrumbs are how I was raised. I was raised on breadcrumbs. So when you have people, a lot of people in sales are like this, right? We have this underlying motivation to succeed, and it's a blessing and a curse. That's why I call it survival mode as a superpower. But the thing is that operating from a dysregulated nervous system can survival mode as a superpower, can actually have a lot of success, but it also really isn't the type of success that you want, because there's no longevity to it. There's no consistency, and you don't have the ability to even feel safe in your own life and feel safe in the environments that you're in. And that's the only way we could create authentic connection with others and with ourselves. And when you think about what's going on at a macro level in this world, in the industries, we all need to find more safety. So I'm focused now. That's why it's called Me IRL, inreallife.com. The website's just being updated. I have my B2B and B2C speaking topics that will be updated as well. But the thing is that everybody needs to learn nervous system literacy. Nervous system literacy literally saves lives. It actually prevents violence. It can lower healthcare premiums. Like, we could work with the health insurance companies to actually make healthcare premiums lower based on consumer incentives, right? To regulate your nervous system. RFK wants to wean people off of antidepressants. Okay. So what's the upstream impact and what's the downstream effects, right? Like, how are we gonna help people? It's not that people are just taking, antidepressants willy-nilly. They're depressed and they don't know how to feel better, because we were never taught to be literate in our bodies as a society, because nobody understood our bodies. Like, we think about capitalism is only 400 years old, or is 400 years old. Then in our country is only 250 years old. The last 70 plus years has been, baby boomers, post-World War II, all of that. And this is how we get our society into these cycles of dysfunction. Like, if we don't care enough about, the employees of our companies and our neighbors and our friends, then who do we care about? And when everybody has the ability to regulate their nervous system, we could actually affect change. We could do the right thing for others and ourselves. And it doesn't always look pretty. None of this journey has looked pretty for me. I've rebranded. I counted. I thought that was my last rebrand, even though it didn't make sense. But I think I had, like, since June of 23, I've had minimally like 4 or 5 names of this company, because I couldn't figure out how to have a level of clarity in my business, because I didn't have a level of safety. And when I was able to feel safe, right? Because I had forget about what was going on in my marriage. I already had legal threats going on in my family because of also not feeling unsafe for the one family member that's left. And that also impacted my ability to go to market, because I didn't feel safe enough to feel seen. How can I market my business every day across all the platforms, and ask people to work with me when I didn't feel safe in my own body. So it impacts people's finances, it impacts people's lives, and it actually could save lives. And people are struggling as a society, and I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, but what I want to do is be able to help people get back into their body so they can make those decisions. Listen to your body to help you inform the decisions. And there have been a lot of things that I have now learned to listen to my body. Like, I spent my entire life in survival mode and didn't know it. And nobody knew it around me. It just looked like I was successful. It looked like I was brilliant. It looked like that I was talkative and I could make friends, and I was this social butterfly, but it actually was really draining and it was almost killing me. And had I not been so afraid of losing my job and just making sure that because I was the person that was making the money and providing the insurance in the house. And I was cooking and I was cleaning and I was making the social thing. So I was doing everything myself. And when you think about what happens in lives when you're solely focused on trying to save your job, the rest of your life literally goes to the wayside. And that's how I was so hyper focused on saving my job that I actually ended up not seeing what was actually going on in my marriage. And it was very intentional. It was a manipulative thing, and it's an abusive thing, and it's not an acceptable thing. And people don't always act out of consciousness. They act out of patterns that they were taught, they were conditioned, they were born into. They're adaptive, but they're also maladaptive. So nervous system literacy has the ability to teach you how to live in your body with a level of safety, and how to go from a dysregulated state to a regulated state, whether it's a sympathetic, right? That's the sympathetic nervous system. There's the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest state. And that's where we have clarity. That's where we have discernment. That's where we have agency over our lives. We don't feel trapped. And that's what I want everyone to get to that point. Because when we feel trapped, like in my previous jobs, I had multiple managers say to me, hey, things aren't going well. Like, you should start looking for a job. And I'm like, I'm already getting so much flack in market when I had a job that about short stints that I couldn't even look for a new job. So we just make it so hard for people to live on this planet that we need to, at least at the very minimally, give them the opportunity to learn how to regulate their nervous systems. Now, whether or not they decide to use it, whether or not they can learn and understand it, that's a whole different thing. But giving people the opportunity to regulate their nervous system in real time is actually a value add for business. It actually helps protect revenue. It helps protect your team. It helps protect your workforce. And I'm not talking about burnout. Burnout is like, I had like the ultimate burnout. I was in adrenal fatigue, and I don't recommend going from adrenal fatigue and complex trauma and rebuilding your nervous system while trying to start a business, while getting divorced, while having legal threats. It doesn't work, right? And this is why it doesn't work. It impacts your finances. It impacts your ability to make decisions with clarity. It impacts your ability to even understand like how you can move forward with any level of clarity. I was just throwing money and working with different things that weren't driving the outcomes that I needed. And I'm brilliant and I'm smart. And I was trying so hard to get to a place, and I was like, I got it. I'm in real life, because that's what this is. This is your life. And the reality is that we've all been in those meetings. We've all had those emails. We've all had those calendar invites where we're like, me, and I'm about to lose my job, or my team's going to be, ripped apart, or whatever is going on. Like, you could be starting a new job and feeling that way. I have tons of friends who are literally getting jobs and they're like, I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. And that's not a place of safety. That's a place of fear. And when we're living in fear, we make really bad decisions, and it just ripples throughout every part of our life. It doesn't just happen at work. It doesn't just happen at home. And one of the worst pieces of advice that I read in a book for entrepreneurs was leave your home life at home and focus only on the business. As an entrepreneur, okay, that's not possible. We can't bifurcate. We can't compartmentalize. I did that my whole life and I got really sick. So what do? We have to make sure we integrate all parts of ourselves. We accept all parts of ourselves, and also understand people are humans. They can't just go to work and be expected to forget about what's going on in their personal life or what's going on in their family, whatever's going on, right? At a global and a macro level. Like, I remember the day of January 6th, we had like a company meeting and we were supposed to act like nothing happened. I'm like, what? And like, I'm not talking about trying to get into politics here. I'm just talking about like, living in a shared reality as a society, because we all need to regulate our nervous system. So I will be sharing more soon. I will be talking more about how this impacts organizations, revenue generating teams, entrepreneurs, all types of people in society. And I also have B2C talk tracks as well. So I hope that you'll stay tuned and you'll join us in the next coming weeks for more episodes and to learn more about nervous system literacy, because this is why I'm doing this. This is why it's called Me in Real Life. And it's called unmeirl.com. That's where you can find everything. I will be updating merch. There's only going to be like 3 hats, maybe 4, because I don't like odd numbers, and a few stickers. Because the thing is that we're all overwhelmed, and we all need to help each other find our ways through, right? We're only walking each other home. So thank you again. I hope that you found this valuable. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And next week, we will be having Matt Fogarty on the Trauma Translator Live. Have a nice rest of your week, y'all. To all of the jewelry that I have behind me, I'm always wearing the Camuso Shift necklace. And the reason why is that it actually is an anxiety antidote. It helps you shift into calm in real time. And it's all about the exhale. So what I like to do is do a 4-4-8 breath. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, and 8 seconds on the exhale. And the exhale is where the magic happens. It actually helps reduce your heart rate. It reduces blood pressure in real time, and it helps you breathe into calm. So let's do it together. Inhale for 4. It just feels so good. This is truly my favorite. From the beach to the boardroom, you could wear it everywhere.